I got to a point where I would just be so busy thinking negative thoughts all day long, and it would affect me in every way possible, that I sat one night in my bed looking at the clock as it passed midnight. And I said to myself, this day is never coming back. And I didn't even smile today. And that was so deep for me that it hit me. I was like, wait a second. Like, while I'm busy sitting here thinking about whatever it is that's going on with me, and I haven't even smiled today, man, how am I going to do this for like a decade? Do I want to live like this? And it was just a huge moment of like, I don't want to go another day where I don't even smile once in the day. That's awful. It doesn't matter what I have to do. I'm going to make sure that I get some happiness out of this day, because this is not coming back. Hello, everyone. I'm Abhinav Jain, and this is the Real Abhinav audio experience. Welcome to the Real Abhinav audio experience. This is your host, Abhinav Jain, and I aspire to make this podcast go beyond the surface. In this podcast, I intend to bring you insights from the topmost performers, no matter what industry they're in. We talk about how they've done things differently to grow their minds and keep their physical and mental health in shape. My mission with this podcast is to help overwhelmed individuals learn ways to reduce their depression, anxiety, and live with peace and love. I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Blossom Media Studio. Thank you so much for creating and distributing my podcast and taking away literally every single thing that's involved with podcasting, so I can just spend the time to talk to my guests and create great episodes. Hello and welcome back, everyone. Today on this show, we have Mr. Justin Reeves joining us from the East Coast, and his son Josiah on the left. And on social, you can find him as JD the author. Justin, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here.
Dude, I'm happy you're here too. Josiah, how are you today?
Awesome.
I'm glad. Both of you, father and son, thank you so much for giving me the time today on a Friday, late at night. Obviously, you know, it's the East Coast. The sun's already down. We're sitting in the West Coast here. So first and foremost, before we get too far, Justin, maybe you could give us, our audience, a little background about who you are and what you do now, and then we'll dig right into your story.
I'm Justin Reeves, also known as JD. Most people do know me as JD. Mm-hmm. What I do now, I'm actually an author. I have a book dropping next month. I also have a book publishing company, and I'm looking to publish other people's books with a story to tell. Who comes from similar backgrounds and similar situations as me.
Will you tell us a little bit about your background?
My background, I was born in New York, grew up in New York, moved down south. I was born in foster care.
Okay.
Straight as this, I was a crack baby. So I had to grow up in foster care, different foster homes. And from there, I embarked on a journey that led me to the streets. And I had to do a lot of things. Mostly some of them I'm not proud of, but it is what it is. It was life, and I survived, and I'm here.
How long ago were you still on the streets, and then to where you are now? You know,
on the streets, in the streets. It's a little bit of both. On the streets, I started my book publishing company and started writing this book that I'm currently working on in the homeless shelter with my kids, living in the homeless shelter with my kids. We've been out of there almost about 8 months now.
Wow.
So, but in the streets, I've really been out of the streets, working on it for a few months now. So this is a journey. That's why the book is called Post-Traumatic Streets Disorder, A Battle Within. It's about my journey, about battling the battles, the traumas being traumatized in the streets, and the battles I face of getting out of them.
Wow. Post-Traumatic Street Disorder is the name of the book, Justin, that you're writing. And just to recap, if you guys didn't hear that properly, this man started writing his book while he was living in a homeless shelter. And he's only really been out of the streets just for a few months. I can't even imagine how rough it was for you last year going through the pandemic, and how that affected you.
It was tough. I was a single dad with 3 kids. At the time, my son was 2, so I had to learn to potty train him. I had Josiah and I had my middle son, and it was tough. I don't even know how I made it through, to be honest with you. But I persevered. I kept going. And actually, as you'll find out in the book, you'll find out that it was because of them. They got me through. They carry me. The whole time you think I'm carrying them, they actually carry me.
Wow. That's incredible, man. I mean, I don't even know how to really dissect this properly, but I want to hear more about like the mindset of someone who probably from the beginning felt that the whole game was not really set up for you to succeed, right? Like you were, as you said, you were born, not in the best situation. You said yourself like you were a crack baby, and I can understand how that might have been in your life and maybe growing up with not the best parenting. I'm not sure, I'm assuming here, but maybe you could tell me some more about kind of how you grew up and what kind of impact that had on your mental health and your state of mind.
Right. So basically, the impact, the way I grew up it was pretty rough. I didn't really have parents. I grew up in different foster homes. I did eventually get adopted by a family that I was living with. Mm-hmm. I was in and out their home a lot. I did eventually get adopted, but by the time they adopted me, I was lost. By the time I was 9, I seen my first murder.
Wow.
Witnessed it. So I actually hit my first blunt of marijuana at 9 years old. I've been abused physically, mentally, sexually by women. And growing up, it was dark. Like I had a lot of days I wanted to kill myself. Even as a teenager, I actually it's in the book. I have a story in there where I talk about when I was in high school and I held a gun and I put it to my head and I tried to click it and it didn't go off. It just clicked. For some reason, it didn't go off and I'm still here.
Wow.
But the mindset of it really just is survival. And that's it. It's just making it through the day.
Was there ever, sorry to interrupt, but was there ever a moment or a person or something that was almost a guiding light to you in this dark time in your life that helped you to see that things could be better than they were?
Yeah, the moments came when I had a few people come along my life. Once again, you will read about. I had a few. Was fortunate enough to have a few people come along, but the moment for me to want more came because I knew life had to be more than this. I knew that this wasn't life, and I actually got to see a lot of sides of life because my foster parents actually lived in the. So when I was 11, I went to the juvenile detention center for 2 years. So when I came out, my adopted parents at the time was living in the suburbs. And moving there, I got to see a whole different side of life. You got a kid from New York who's been in the streets and who's been doing all these crazy things, end up getting incarcerated at a young age, coming home, and he's in a whole different atmosphere. And the atmosphere I was in was a more suburban area. And seeing those things actually made me want more out of life. Mm-hmm. I seen kids who was privileged. I seen kids with 2-parent homes. I seen kids who wanted more out of life, who was preparing to go to college. And all I wanted to do was be alive. When I was 18, that's all my dream was, to be alive when I was 18. I didn't have no big goals when I was younger coming up. I didn't have nothing particularly I wanted to do or what I wanted to be. As you're going to read, my whole life was spent trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
Wow, what a perspective that is for our listeners, right? Like a lot of young adults that listen to our podcast, most of them feel lost in their life now. They feel like they're stuck. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of them smoke too much weed these days because it's very available. These days it's so easy to get and so quick to get high that most of them have checked out. I mean, they may not be in a survival-like situation that you were going through, but many of them feel stuck. Many of them tell me that they hate school, that they don't know what to do with their life, that they don't have any passions, they don't have any clue on what they want to do, yet they still want to improve, and I'm curious to hear from someone like you, what perspective or what advice would you offer to the younger generation that is going through this type of mindset, knowing what and how difficult it can actually be. What would you tell someone that just keeps thinking that they're stuck and there's no way out?
I would say personally to look within. That same strength that gets you up in the morning, that makes you go to the next day, that little bit of strength, you got to find the small victories.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I started to do. I started to find my small victories. That's what I made it today. If you're in school, if whether you get a C or a B, you just know, hey, I can do better than this. And you fight and you keep going and you want more. Even if you don't got it figured out, most people don't got it figured out. It's
right.
Okay. It's okay. You just plan and you just plan and you just go after it. And you don't take no, and you fight for everything you want. And that same strength that made you get up and made you go to the next day, that made you keep going, that if it's a job you don't like or whatever, that same strength that made you go inside that place or whatever you're doing is the same strength you can use to find what you need to do with your life. And that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at my lowest point in that shelter, my back was against the wall. I was ready to tap out, but it took Josiah, it took my junior, it took Justice, who was 2 at the time, to give me hugs every day, to pull me, to say, Daddy, I got you. Daddy, I love you. And I just found purpose in that alone. So
Mm-hmm.
find purpose in something, whatever you love to do, find purpose in that.
I've got a quick favor to ask of you. If you've been enjoying this podcast, I'd really appreciate if you could take 1 minute of your time and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It goes a long way, and I'd really, really, really appreciate it. If you've already done that, thank you again. Please share this episode with someone you know, a friend or family member. Download the episode or share the link, whatever works for you. Now let's get back to it. Would you say that finding purpose that's bigger than you or outside of you is a more enduring driver than if it was just about like you looking out for yourself?
Yeah, in a sense, because it's, to me, you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else, right?
That's true. I agree with that.
So if my mental is not right, if my mental health is not together, if I'm always down, then I can't even raise them. I can't give them no knowledge. And I had to acknowledge that myself. So there's nothing wrong with and I think that's a misconception about taking care of yourself. And people feel like sometimes you have to be selfish. Sometimes you have to say, okay, I got to do what's best for me. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then within doing that, you will find purpose in helping others, because once you're able to lift yourself up, you'll be able to lift other people up.
Gotcha. I have a question for Mr. Josiah over there. So Josiah, tell me, what is it that you love about Daddy the most?
A good question.
He's a good listener. Is that what he said?
He said that's a good question.
Oh, he said it's a good question. Okay. Well, you can think about it. We can come back to you. No problem.
Is there everything?
Everything. Well, hey,
Wow.
That's a great answer. That really tells me more than I could probably get from just reading your book, my friend, because, I don't think kids can potentially hide from being influenced. They're like sponges, as far as I can tell. So if he loves everything about you, I can tell that you're a good dad and you're doing all the good things that you can for your kids. One thing that intrigued me is the shirt that you're wearing. It says addictive on there. You care to elaborate what that's about?
Oh, thank you for asking. This is one of my friends. He got a clothing line.
Okay.
And so he's getting promotion from me today.
Okay. I was wondering if you, the reason I also ask is because, addiction is a topic that we discuss on my podcast. And it's something that, we've actually, as of recently, started to reframe addiction mindset as actually a superpower if it's channeled properly. But it can also be, something that's very damaging when channeled negatively, like when it's towards a drug addiction or when it's towards a very bad habit of, maybe eating poorly, or watching too much TV or consuming a lot of negative content, like very bad, social media content, or a lot of bad, controversial stuff. Like, so it can be very, very bad. But if you are someone that gets addictive and you realize that, you can also channel that in a positive way. You know, I'd love to hear your take, Justin, on potentially like being, if you experienced an addictive mindset yourself.
Me personally, yes. When it comes to it's always been in another way. I've never personally been addicted to anything. That's why I mostly stayed away from like
Really, even when you were on the streets. Even
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, and cigarettes, anything that made you addicted. I pretty much stayed away from hard drugs. Personally, I mostly sold them. I never really took them. I wasn't into taking them.
Wow. So, Justin, really, hold on. You're telling me a man that was completely so low in his life, who felt like he wanted to, you know, off himself. You never thought like, maybe let me just smoke a little bit of weed to like, you know, change my state.
See, weed was different, but I've never been addicted. Like I've always been able to put it down. Like
I see.
Sacrifice. Like that was something like I never really needed. I never wanted to depend on anything.
Okay.
That's why I never picked up a cigarette. Because I seen my friends always needed a cigarette. They always needed to smoke. So I didn't want to be one of those people that felt like I had to have something.
God.
I don't like that feeling. I don't want nothing to control me. I don't like to be controlled in a sense. Yeah. So I never wanted nothing that controlled me. Got
it. Wow, man, that's really powerful to hear, because you know what's crazy is a lot of these younger adults that have been talking to me on TikTok. I'm sure you know about TikTok. They all be telling me that they're smoking a whole lot of weed because it's so accessible, and they don't quite know how to stop. And I tell them, well, if you don't know how to stop, then that's a problem that you really need to work on fixing, right? You know, I don't know if you've helped any of your friends, or if you've helped other people who do have an addictive personality towards substances. Like, is there anything that you can share with this audience that might be of benefit to them if they're trying to, you know, either slow down or change their lifestyle by, you know, smoking less drugs or anything like that?
Yeah. Ask yourself, what is it helping? I got a great quote in 50 Cent's book. He talks about in his newest book. He talks about basically how smoking weed can affect everything, like just smoking period, like it's how it slows up your mindset and the way you'll be successful. So for anybody that's really addicted to anything, ask yourself why. What's the purpose? What purpose am I gaining out of it? That's the main thing. Just ask yourself the why. And if you don't have a why are you doing this, then 9 times out of 10 you shouldn't be doing it. Why?
I'd play the devil's advocate and say, well, because I'm bored and I got nothing else going on. You know, if I'm a kid.
And to me, I would say if that's your mindset and you say you're bored, I feel like you could channel that energy to put it anywhere, into a hobby, into being great, into being the next best-selling author, to being, which I'm eventually gonna be, into being the next, you could be the next Denzel Washington. Your limit is so big because life is really whatever you make it. It sounds cliche, but it's really whatever you make it, and it's really about your mindset in life. And I had to learn that the hard way. You are what you think.
Tell me how that came into your life. Like you are what you think. When did you start to realize that your thought process played such a big role in how your life actually unfolds?
When I kept running to the same situations.
Over and over again.
Over and over again. That was it for me. It was, why am I going through this? Oh, I'm not learning something. Oh, it's the way I'm thinking. My thoughts haven't changed. I started analyzing everything in my life. I had to realize that it's the way I'm thinking. It's my mindset. It's the way I approach things. It's my negative mindset. It's to take whatever life throws at me. It's not having no plan with life. It's not wanting nothing out of life and just trying to figure out instead of just doing.
Okay. Wow, I get that. So tell me then, while you were, in the shelters and now you're, living on your own with your 3 kids, you said you started writing your book. When did the writing of the book transform into building a business or a company that, wants to help other people publish? I mean, it sounds like it would be pretty scary when you don't have a stable, home or lifestyle to be wanting to publish a book and also build a company. It sounds very scary to me, you know, at that stage in life. So tell me how that all happened and how it, you know, manifested.
Okay, so basically, I've always wanted to write a book since I was 15 years old. I was, like I told you, I was in and out of the juvenile home, in juvenile detention centers. And at 15, I was back in there on a burglary and marijuana charges. So at this point in time, I did a speech. I won a speech contest, but just talking about my life. I sat down, I tried to write. I was unsuccessful. Then when I was in the shelter, I basically was at the bottom and I had no one to talk to. I was alone. I felt like giving up. And then I had nowhere to channel this. So I just started writing. And then I threw it online. And then I threw it on a mental health website. And so many people responded to it. And it was like a light bulb went off my head. And the publishing other people's book is the fact that I know a lot of people that come from similar situations that have a story to tell. They just don't have an avenue to go to tell this story.
Right.
So as I build my platform, I also want to build a platform for other people.
I love that. It's almost like, you know, when you climb to the top of the mountain, you want to bring some extra rope and maybe even a ladder so other people can climb up too.
That's me. I always thought about other people. Even when I was going through the worst of the worst, I've always cared about other people before I cared about myself. Like if I see somebody that needed something, I'm gonna give it to them.
Right.
Just like tell them what we did for Father's Day. What we did for Father's Day.
We fed the homeless. We gave them water. We gave them sandwiches.
How'd that make you feel, Josiah, to do something like that?
Made me feel happy.
Yeah? Made you feel happy when you gave someone something that you know that they would enjoy and need? That's great, man. It's good to hear that. So, Justin, I'm curious to hear about, you know, a man who's definitely not shy of facing challenges in his life because you've been that way from the beginning. How has this journey of becoming an author, a publisher, a published author, and someone who's trying to create a business around publishing other people, what kind of challenges have you been facing while you've been doing something like this?
Self-doubt.
Self-doubt.
That's the biggest challenge of it all. So many people come up to me and say they're inspired. I'm talking about from the toughest of the toughest people to the most successful people have told me they're inspired by my story. Mm-hmm. But I don't see myself as that. So me overcoming that is one of the biggest battles. Because I know deep down that only thing could stop me from success is me. Nobody else can stop me. Nobody else can put limits on. I limit myself. I limit my mind. And I do that by not being able to see myself in that light. Because regardless of what, when you lay down at night, you know everything. You know all your darkest secrets. You can't run from yourself. You can't run from your demons. You can't hide from those things. So the fact that I know that it created a self-doubt, like, am I good enough? And it took a while to overcome that. And I actually have a line in my book in the final chapter where I say it was so hard for me to finish the book because I couldn't find a happy ending. And then I realized my happy ending is the fact that I'm still alive. That is a happy ending right there in itself. I don't need no success to be successful or big rich. No, I'm still alive. So my ending ain't ended yet.
Yeah, this was the first book anyway, right? I mean, this is only volume one.
One of many. One of many.
I love that.
One of many.
I love that, man. That's awesome. Well, here, let me maybe pivot the conversation this way then. You know, I've been now creating content online for several years, and I've been trying to, you know, just keep getting better at it, kind of chip away at this. And, you know, I've gotten to a point now where a lot of these younger adults are starting to resonate with the messages that I'm putting out and some of the content that we're making. And most of it's around, you know, people that are feeling lost and have a lot of anxiety, especially about their future. They don't really know how things are going to turn out for them. And, I've been getting a lot of views, like, sometimes we're getting close to 500,000 views online. And I'm wondering, is there anything that in your process now that I can share with you from what I've learned, or anything that, maybe sparks your curiosity around anything I can share with you from things that I've been up to?
Definitely. I would love to hear the advice you give other people about overcoming the anxiety. I would love to hear that, because that's something I battle with. The fear. Even though I have those fears, I still just go. I'm the type to just go for it.
Right.
I still get that. How do I do it with a smile?
Yeah. Well, I think for me, the biggest revelation, that's the reason I even talk about anxiety, is because I'm someone that has always been very anxious ever since I was a kid. And over the years, I've learned that I have to find ways to manage that, right? Because when you get anxious, your heart starts to beat really fast. You feel kind of off, right? You feel like agitated, and it almost can transform very quickly into a panic attack without knowing, right? Your breathing becomes shallow, and some people, when they have very severe anxiety, can also feel like they're frozen in time, like they don't think this will ever change, like this state will never leave me. I mean, that's the worst of it, right? If it gets to that level, it's severe anxiety, and not everybody has that, but people have different variations of anxiety. So I would say for any level of anxiety, first understanding what it is. In my understanding of it is, you're either stuck in some sort of a hypothetical thought process of something that may or may not come true, but you seem to believe in this current moment that this is gonna happen. And if it does, how I'm gonna get out of it. So it's almost like, that this thing may or may not happen, but you believe that it will. And now you're thinking about your next chess move, but you don't even know if that's going to actually happen, right? So you're almost playing this game that's like self-perpetuating, and it causes even more anxiety, because it's like, well, how do you know that's going to actually happen? Like, we don't know the future. Nobody does. So what makes me believe that that's going to happen? So there's two parts to it. One is what has been taught to me as introspection, like counter asking the question to your own thinking. So if you believe that something negative or something bad's going to happen, you ask yourself, is this true? Like, is this a true thought? What are the facts here? Is this based in reality? Or am I adding some details that may not be real? Right? So that's more of a mental game. It's almost like, chopping your own thinking. It's like, oh man, like these people are going to come and they're going to shoot me up or whatever. They're going to rob me and take everything away. What are the facts?
Yeah.
Why would they do so? What would motivate them to do so? Have I done something wrong? What is it that I've done wrong? Could I call, somebody for protection if things went south, or, like things like this, like, am I imagining this, or is this really happening? So that's one part of the mental piece, is like really asking yourself the question, like, what is the truth? Start from there. Right. And then the other thing that really helps is, you would know this because, as a writer, I call it sticky note thoughts, like Post-it note thoughts, those little sticky notes. Whenever you feel very anxious, the interesting thing is your mind is going a lot faster than you can process. And the way to slow that down is by writing. So if you're having an anxiety attack, or you're starting to feel very anxious, even just on a sticky note, writing down, like, right now I feel very anxious that my life is not going the way I want it to. I feel really nervous about this situation, and it could potentially go bad this way or that way. And you'll see, as you write down, you are slowing down this process of thinking so fast, because you can't write as fast as you can think. It's just not possible, right? So it's almost like a shortcut. It's like a short circuit, because as soon as you start writing, your mind has to slow down so you can write. It's almost like pulling the reins back, like revving the engine down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because to write, you have to be present with it. At the end of the day, that's what I'm talking about. It's finding ways to be more present rather than
in
being
the moment, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
And that was my biggest battle, right? Because I'm such an overthinker. Like,
I can relate, man.
I overanalyze everything. I done thought about a thought. I will outthink myself out of a thought.
Yeah.
So like it got bad to the point my kids would be talking to me, and I don't even realize what they said, because I'm so busy thinking about so much. So like, I've really been learning to just live in the moment and working on that. That's been one of the biggest things I've been working on, is really just living in the moment and not thinking, not overthinking, just think the thought and just move on from the thought. Okay, while I'm doing this, let me just do this. Let me enjoy this. Like, we would go to amusement parks and I would zone out for like at least 30, 45 minutes. And like, you heard me? No. Sorry, what you said, son? Because it's like, I'm so busy, just my mind is just going 100 miles per hour. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yes.
So it's learning to slow it down.
And then the most practical one is, our mind and body are connected by what? Our breath. And if you can channel your attention to your breath, it's the primary function of our existence. So when you focus on your breathing, everything else takes the back seat. And, this is something that I learned a lot from getting into meditation and learning more about yoga, which is an Indian thing that's been around forever. I'm Indian. So when I started to experience like meditation and breathing exercises or breathing practices, they are immediately effective. Because when you're starting to just say, okay, I'm just going to focus on inhaling for 5 seconds, holding my breath for 4 seconds, exhaling for 5 seconds. I'm going to do this 10 times. When you do that, you really can't go too far away. And because you've decided that this is the focus point in this moment, as soon as you shift away from it, you got to come back to it, right? It's like you've created this objective, like a video game, right? You created this objective. We're going to breathe properly for 10 counts. And if you start to deviate away from that, you come immediately back to the objective. It's like we're not on course. And so for some people, depending on how extreme it is, man, that has to then be a longer exercise. Like for me, every morning, it's about 25 minutes to prime myself. Okay. Some days it's 15 minutes, but on average, it's about 20 to 25 minutes upon waking, because even till today, I will wake up and my mind is already racing like crazy. I'm already having problem solving issues, and I'm like waking up and I'm already like, fuck, man, like, what am I, what am I doing? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing today? You're not waking up with full abundant gratitude about like, wow, look at my life. It's so great. Everybody I love is alive. Like, it's not, how people say like, that's how it should be. It's not like that for me when I wake up in the morning. So I have to then sit myself down on the ground, and I'll sit in a cross-legged posture and do my meditation, and then say a prayer, and then really like get myself started. And at times when it's bad, sometimes I have to do that multiple times a day.
Exactly.
I don't know if you've experienced something similar, or if you found any other techniques that have helped you.
Yeah. For me, I like what helps me the most is, believe it or not, is music.
Music. Oh, that's a good one.
Music and showers.
That's a good one.
I was listening to even a TED Talk, and there was like the shower is like one of the most places you get your thoughts out. The most creative thoughts come in the shower.
That's so true. Shower time is an interesting concept. That's like that. Have you heard of cold showers being very effective for like having a high thinking mind, like jumping into a cold shower? Obviously, probably not when it's snowing out in New York, but you know what I mean? But they call it like almost like a cold plunge is another word they use for it, but it shocks the whole nervous system, right? To a point where it's like, it can't think about this other dumb stuff now. It's like, we got to be here right now,
Exactly.
So that's very good. I'm glad you brought up the shower. That's a powerful tool.
And like, for me, how I help get myself together, like, and I'm talking to a lot of the single parents right now out there, that's probably stressed out, that feel like, I know it's overwhelming, and I know it becomes overwhelming. And when you doing this is not easy. And I salute everybody. I commend everybody doing it. I know it's not easy. And what works for me is the downtimes. Make it the downtimes when early in the morning, I wake up before my kids and I stay up a little bit after them. I always make sure I find my me time. When I was in the shelter, it was one room. We was all in one room. There was one bathroom, one room. It was bunk beds. One TV. We had one TV, and there was a little stove, one little table, and basically, I would go in the bathroom. I made my me time. I had to force myself me time. Hey, Daddy's going in the bathroom. I just need 20 minutes, y'all. Please just watch this movie for me. And I'm glad they was able to just do that for me.
Yeah.
And I would sit in the dark, listen to some of my favorite music, whatever your favorite thing is, and breathe. Light a candle. Candles is great. And just breathe and just breathe and just enjoy your me time. Enjoy it. Don't use that time to be on social media and talking. Just enjoy your me time. And that's big. And that really helped me overcome a lot of it, especially in that pandemic. It was a lot of bad. It was a lot of hard days, and it was a lot of dark days, and that's what got me through.
Yeah. The only thing I would add to that is realizing when I figured this out, when I was actually going through a very rough time in my life as well, I would find it hard to sleep for more than even an hour at night. And I would just be very exhausted every single day for, months on end. And it was really not doing me any good. And I got to a point where I would just be so busy thinking negative thoughts all day long, and it would affect me in every way possible, that I sat one night in my bed looking at the clock as it passed midnight. And I said to myself, this day is never coming back. And I didn't even smile today. And that was so deep for me that it hit me. I was like, wait a second. Like, while I'm busy sitting here thinking about whatever it is that's going on with me, and I haven't even smiled today, man, how am I going to do this for like a decade? Do I want to live like this? And it was just a huge moment of like, I don't want to go another day where I don't even smile once in the day. That's awful. It doesn't matter what I have to do. I'm going to make sure that I get some happiness out of this day, because this is not coming back.
Yeah.
That one really kind of started this whole journey of, where I am today, because that was a turning point for me. That was a turning point where I decided that I'm no longer going to just be driven by whatever automatically is going on in my head. I'm going to make conscious decision to change it.
You learn how to be a master of life.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I go that far.
When I say that, it's like,
I want to take another quick moment to thank our sponsors, Podcast Backdrops. If you do any kind of video content or pictures online, or you're doing any sort of selling over Zoom calls, you really need to check them out, because it will make you look professional from the get-go. Having your brand, your logo, and what you're all about behind you, hiding all your clutter, makes you look so much more professional when you put yourself out there on the internet. So check out Podcast Backdrops if you want to level up your game.
One day I was somewhere, and somebody just told me, you're a master of life. Somebody say that to you, it throws you off.
It throws you off.
You're intrigued. He's like, you got all the keys to your future, and you don't even know it. You control your destiny. The key to your life is in your own hand. You're the master of it. And I was like, whoa, that was deep to me, right?
Yeah.
Because I was young at this time. I'm really thinking everything negative. Like, I'm looking for the next person to rob. I'm looking for the next money. I had him at 17. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's about to be 11 this year. I'm about to be 29. So our age gap is not so big, So I grew up with him. So like, I'm in the mindset of doing whatever it takes. But that one comment hit me. Even though I didn't understand it then, now I'm understanding, like, I do control my destiny with my thoughts, with the way I react, the way I am, the way I move, my energy. Mm-hmm. That was big. If I walk around upset every day, nothing good's gonna come to me, because I'm not putting nothing good out. And I had to learn all these things. And it's like, for me, I'm unlearning a lot of the things I had to learn, because you realize, pretty much, I hate to say, it's bullshit. The way we are taught as men, as everything, it's like the way we're taught it's bullshit. And you have to learn that. And I had to unlearn a lot of things. Lot of things.
Man, that's powerful. I wonder if I asked you more of maybe a deeper philosophical question, which is, what do you believe you are here for on this earth, and what do you think we're all here for?
What I'm here for, personally, my purpose is to be a light. I had many dark days, and my job is to be a light for others and help them see a light in themselves. The same way I had to find a light inside myself. So my job is to help other people find a light in themselves. Mm. And what was the second part of that?
What do you think we're all here for? All of us humans on this ball of, atmosphere flying through the space. in the middle of nowhere? What do you think we're all here, man, for?
That's a great question. Everybody serves a different purpose. Everybody. We all serve a different purpose, and there's no one way to live life. There's no like right way to live, actually, right? It's a moral way. It's ways with morals and dignity to live, but a right way, because it's many people got successful many ways, many people live many ways, and it works for them. So your purpose is really whatever you find it to be. My purpose, like I said, for me, is to be a light and help you find a light in yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for me, I would add the only thing is when I started to explore this concept of having a purpose, right? Because it's a question that doesn't always have one answer for everyone, and it's not a question that you can give one answer to and it will supply you for the rest of your life. So
exactly,
I would say that to anybody that's seeking to find their purpose, think in more immediate terms. What is your purpose now? Because it may not be that forever. Right?
Exactly. It switches. Your purpose changes.
And as it changes, yes. So if your purpose is changing, and that's okay. Like be aware of that rather than trying to be like, oh, my purpose is this. And then you're hung up on when that's not happening for you or whatever. And it's like, it's a point of a contention rather than something that should be driving you. I've fallen into that trap. So that's why I thought to bring it up. Wow, that's a great point, man. So far, this has been an incredible conversation. I didn't expect, this was going to go the way it went. So I'm very happy that we got to do this today. Was there anything else, Justin, that you think we should discuss before we end for today?
Basically about embracing your struggles.
Okay. It's all good.
1 second. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
1 second. Oh, 1 second. I'm so sorry. Josiah, take over 2 seconds.
Josiah, tell me something. What do you think about your future? How do you wanna grow up, and what do you think you want to be? What would make you happy?
For me, it my dad is already right. He's already making it look successful, but I can encourage him to be a writer, make his way up.
I like it.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
No, please, it's okay.
With the other kids.
Hey, man, this is my social media name is The Real Abhinav. We talk about real things and real life situations. We're not fabricating nothing, so it's okay.
Exactly.
You're a single dad with 3 kids, brother. It's okay. This is the real deal. So, the audience will understand. We have a great audience that definitely understands.
What I was saying before I walked up, embrace your struggles. That's important. That's one of the most important things. And understand that just because you're down now, life keeps going. My brother killed himself February 10th. It wasn't my blood brother, but this was my best friend. He killed himself February 10th. And I just wish he knew that just because whatever dark day you got now, the sun is gonna come out. It doesn't rain forever. It's not going to rain forever. It's not going to be worse forever. It's going to be good days and bad days in life. When there's good, there's bad. When there's bad, there's good. So embrace the bad and understand the good is coming. Embrace the struggle, understand the good is coming. Don't give up. You can fight through it. I think fight through it. And you know what to do. Most people know what to do. That's the funny thing about life. Most of us have a solution to our problem. We just don't like it. We don't like the solution. We don't like it, so we choose not to do that. And I'm figuring out that life is hard, but it's simple. We complicate it, right? We complicate it by the things we want. We complicate it by social media and comparing our life to other people's, and understanding that we're not other people. We got to understand we're not other people, and your life is your life. Your path is your path, and it don't matter how long it took him over there to achieve something. If it take you 15 years, that's just your path, and embrace it and embrace it and keep going.
I love that. That's so important of a message today, because of social media, how we're so quick to compare to someone else's life when that's only a, small glimpse. It's like looking through a peephole versus looking at the big picture. You don't see the whole picture of nobody's life, right?
You're watching the highlights of their life and thinking it's real life. And don't, please out there, don't do that. And just embrace it. That's my main message, and understanding, because like even me, I might not be in my brightest day, but most people ain't gonna know. They're not gonna know, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna smile through it. Because I understand that, guess what? Tomorrow could be a better day.
Right.
Guess what? My moment might be around next week. My big moment might be next week. But if I give up today, I'll never get to next week.
That's facts.
So just keep fighting. Do not give up.
Right. And just to add, like, the beautiful thing about us being human is we can bring into existence a possibility that hasn't existed till now, and that can happen tomorrow. That's the biggest thing that human beings have at their disposal that we always forget, right? Like, what hasn't happened today can happen tomorrow. I think I lost your video there, but there you are.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. No, we're getting close to wrapping up anyway, Justin. So here's what I want to do. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about the book that's coming out, the name, and where they can find it, and when it will be launched?
Okay. The book, can you give me? I don't know what's going on.
I got you. I hear you. I see you.
All right. The book is, once again, called Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, A Battle Within. It's going to be launched on Amazon and on my website, www.jdtheauthor.com. Once again, that's www.jdtheauthor.com. The book is about my journey in elevating out the streets.
Do you plan to do an audio version of this at some point?
Yeah. Yes, eventually I will do an audio version of the book.
I recommend you start a podcast, Justin. I'm serious.
I definitely.
You hit me up. You hit me up. I'll get you squared up, because I think you would do a lot of good by starting a podcast, because it's the easiest way, first off, to get your book in audio version out there, and second, for you to then find other people who you admire, who you want to talk to, and also finding other people whose story that you can kind of collaborate with. I really think that's going to be a game changer for you, especially when I know, because Mimi told me that you're trying to also build your social media presence. That's probably the best way for you to do it as an author, as someone who wants to speak about his journey. I think that really will be the best way.
Yes, and I'm definitely gonna look into all these things.
Yes,
and man, listen, this interview has been amazing. It's really been amazing. Yeah, and you're just in the book. You're gonna just take a journey through my life, and you're gonna understand my mindset. And my main thing in this book was basically to show you that just because you come from something, don't judge what you don't judge what you don't know.
Don't judge what you don't know. I love that.
Don't judge what you don't know. And don't count anybody out, because you don't know who that person's gonna be, who that person's gonna become. Look at me. I'm on the verge of being a best-selling author. I wasn't supposed to make it past 18.
Wow.
They told me I'm not supposed to make it past 18. I'm 28 years old. So you're gonna go on a journey with me, and you're gonna read some things. It's gonna touch your heart. It's gonna probably have some tears, probably some laughs. Why did he do that? You're gonna learn. You're gonna learn a lot. And I try to speak a lot of life into people.
Justin,
that's
my
main thing. Making every word count. Everything I say, I want to make it count to people for the rest of my life, because I don't know when my last second or last breath is gonna be, but I don't want to waste none on meaningless conversations or meaningless things.
I can't wait for the book to come out. We'll link it in the podcast description here, so people can go click directly and buy it. So thank you so much.
Back when it come out.
Hey, you're welcome back anytime, man. So hit us up, and definitely we want to help you get your podcast started. We really do. Blossom Media is a great podcast studio, and they've helped me get this whole thing sorted out. So you feel free to reach out anytime, okay?
I definitely will. Follow me on Instagram _JD the author. Follow me on LinkedIn. I'm on every social media. I'm on Twitter, Facebook. Follow me. add me. You can message me. You need advice, anything. I'm always open. I'm willing to work with anybody. I'm willing to talk to anybody. Don't hesitate.
And shout out to young Josiah over there in the back representing us. Thank you so much, my friend, for being a part of this episode. You're definitely the youngest podcaster I've ever had on my podcast. So thank you so much for being here. Look at that smile. I love it. You guys go have a great night tonight, okay? Have some fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Bye now. Thank you for checking out this show. I really appreciate your time, and I can't wait to hear from you. If you want to give me any feedback or want to get in touch, know someone that I should put on the show, reach out to me on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, wherever you are online. You bet you can find me there. Just search for The Real Abhinav. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.